Grace, congratulations for book club, the next chapter.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, you're in a press tour of some sort. They just had a premiere in New York City.
Yes, they did on Monday. It was a whirlwind. It's very exciting.
How was that event overall?
Oh, it was wonderful. I was quite nervous, it was my first time doing something like that. But everyone was really lovely, and it was great to watch the film and see it on such a big screen. And yeah, I mean, very, very memorable, as you can imagine.
Was that your first time viewing the book club?
Yes, yes, I'd never seen it before, so it was all very, quite an intense experience doing that, dressing up, having the red carpet, everything, seeing all the cast, the crew, and then watching the film. It was a lot in a short space of time.
That's wonderful to hear. So tell us how you got on board to play this character Grace, which is seems like it's named after you.
Yes, well, actually, it sort of is. I met Bill Haldeman and Erin Sims, who co-wrote the film together a few years ago, and since then they've, kept track of my career, my work. They followed me on Instagram, and when it came to them writing the sequel for book club, they actually wrote the part with me in mind. So it was quite a lucky thing for my first sort of American feature film to have a part actually written for me.
Wow. Did you watch the first film before?
Yes, yes, I did. It was very entertaining and I enjoyed it.
Most wonderful. So tell us about the character and describe the scene for some of us. I believe it's a wedding fitting scene, right?
Yes, it is. You can see snippets of it actually in the trailer. It's where Vivian, who's played by Jane Fonda, searches for her perfect wedding dress while she's in Italy. And in the scene, it's the four lead women and this Italian fashion designer, and I'm his sort of uh, personal assistant to the women, making sure that they have the luxury couture wedding experience and pulling out dresses and pouring champagne and all of that kind of thing.
Of course, that's a lot of experience, but this is a speaking role that you actually have in the book club, right?
Yes, it is. It is, and it's my first in a feature a big feature film. So it's very exciting for me to have that, and then to have it with such an incredible cast around me. I think it's really the kind of stuff that dreams are made of, not the stuff that you expect to happen, in your first film.
Wow. So what was going through your head when you finally watch yourself on the big screen?
I was quite nervous, I could tell it was coming, and I it was it was strangely surreal and very not at the same time, because obviously, I filmed it, I was there for it, so those memories of actually filming it came back. But I it was very strange to see myself so big on such a large screen in the cinema of this viewing and this premiere, and hearing myself, talk. I think that everyone, whenever they hear themselves talk, always finds it a bit strange. Like, oh, is that actually what I sound like? And yeah, I mean, it was wonderful. Obviously, yeah. I mean, I think I'll remember it forever. The first time that I ever heard myself speak in a cinema. It's quite the thing to wrap your head around.
So was it what you expected, or it ended up more than what you expected?
The which
What,
part that how
watching yourself on screen, is this what your dreams were made of, or is it more than what it is?
I think it's a good question. I think that it is in part what I expected, but in another way, it felt quite natural. I was quite nervous about it, and that thing that I've said about it being a surreal thing, but it's actually felt like, oh, that actually sort of makes sense to see myself there. It didn't feel like, oh God, I should feel like I shouldn't be there. I actually, felt like, oh, that does feel like the place that I should be, which was quite an interesting thing to experience, because I didn't actually know how I would feel watching it for the first time. Um, so yeah, I think that yes, I definitely felt like I was in the right place. Um, yeah.
Well, tell us this. On the production set, your scene was with all four women, am I correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what was that like in the presence of these veteran actors, all on the same setting?
Uh, okay, so to be to be totally honest, I was quite nervous when I got there. My first thing we shot on the first day was one of my lines in the film, and I have to go up to the women, and they're all in front of me, and all the attention is on me, and that was the first thing we shot, and we didn't rehearse it either. So I, for the first time in my life, I actually got stage fright, which was not the opportune time to get stage fright, I have to say. And I actually fumbled a bit on my line, and it wasn't terribly embarrassing because I felt absolutely ridiculous, because obviously I knew my lines. It wasn't like I didn't know them. It's just that when you come face to face with Jane Fonda and Diane Keaton and Mary Steenburgen and Candice Bergen, and they're just in front of you and they're all looking at you, and this is your moment. It my brain obviously couldn't process it quick enough, and I slightly panicked. But afterwards, I I spoke with them, and they were so lovely to me and didn't make me feel bad about it, because I felt so embarrassed that I had made such a mistake. And afterwards, I felt much better. They made me feel better, and that it was okay, and it made sense that that would happen in the situation I was in. And once I realized that, of course, they are these iconic movie stars, but they're also these really kind, lovely people that just want to make the best film, that I think my brain calmed down, and I was able to kind of process the situation that I was in, which of course was insane to be on set with them. But I managed to kind of deal with it in a more calm way, luckily.
Well, that's wonderful. That sounds like a terrific experience for you. So it did take multiple takes for your line then.
It did. It did. Yeah, unfortunately it did. Thanks to me. Mary tried to make me feel better by saying that it was her fault that she had stepped over my line. And I was like, no, no, it wasn't. It was definitely me, but I appreciate the gesture.
So did you converse with all four ladies when the cameras are off just a little bit more then?
Yes, yes. I had a really, I think I spoke most with Diane and Mary, but at the end, Jane came over to me. She made a point of coming over to me when I wrapped my part, and she shook my hand, and she said, very kind, encouraging things to me. And all of them really did go out of their way to make me feel like I was part of the group, that I was sort of supposed to be there, not just a kind of, extra person on set. And that, is the kind of thing that I'll never forget the kind of thing that I hope that, you know, down the line that I'll be able to do. It meant a lot to me.
Which one of them was on the top of your list that you wanted to meet?
I think, well, one of my favorite films is Barefoot in the Park with Jane Fonda and Robert Redford, and I absolutely love Jane in that. And I think it's you know, obviously all of them I think are wonderful, and it was great to meet them. I think that it was between Jane and Diane, because I think that I had mostly grown up watching them in different ways. I think that, you know, Diane is my mum's favorite actress. Diane Keaton's my mum's favorite actress. So she was obviously super excited about me working with her. And so I grew up watching a lot of her films. You know, I love Baby Boom and Father of the Bride. And, you know, it's hard to say who I wanted to see most, but I would say it's between those two. I think that Jane is sort of this Hollywood icon, and Diane is the kind of person that you sort of watch and you feel like you want to be friends with. So it's sort of a different vibe for both.
Well, most excellent. What was this all filmed in Italy for you? Did they fly you out from London to Italy?
Yes. Yeah, they flew me from London to Rome, and yeah, it was shot. I think the film on the whole shot in Rome and Venice and Florence, and my scene was in Rome, and we shot it just outside Italy in this beautiful old villa, which they had sort of decorated with these incredible gowns and wedding dresses, and yeah, it was probably one of the most beautiful buildings that I've ever seen. So to be filming in it was just, that in itself was a very surreal thing to be doing.
I was reading your background. You also have a passion in fashion and design. So this must have been a wonderful scene for you to be in, and surrounded by all those dresses.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I think that I mean, I know that is actually partially why Bill and Aaron thought of me for that part in the film, because they knew that I was very into fashion and I make my own clothes, and so I think that when they were writing it, they very much imagined me being this assistant that's come from fashion school in London to assist this couture fashion designer. So I guess that's maybe why they thought of me for the part. Yeah, I'm very into it. So seeing, you know, being in a beautiful location, incredible actors surrounded by beautiful dresses. You know, even saying it now, it's a mental sort of picture experience for me.
Well, you're going to have to thank them so many times for yourself. But
Yeah.
but let me know how you got into start in acting in the first place for yourself. I mean, I guess you could have easily gone into fashion design, but you're in acting right now.
Yeah, so my father is a cinematographer, and so I grew up surrounded by film. I traveled, me and my brother and my mum, we traveled with him when I was a child, often missing school and being homeschooled and spending a lot of time on film sets. And so I think that my whole life, film has been such an integral part of it that there was never a point, for as long as I can remember, that I ever thought that I would be going in any other direction other than film. And although at one point I did actually think about going into costume design, I realized that it wouldn't have the scope that I wanted to do. And so acting for me really encompasses a lot of things that I am interested in, which is performance, but also being able to explore human nature, being able to be other people. And I don't think that there are very many careers that you can have where, or any other really career you can have where you can, become somebody else. It's quite a unique experience, and that for me is what it really gives me. I also write and direct, and I think that is again something, exploring people's stories, putting them on screen. You're a character that will live forever. Even the film that I've just done now, even though it's not, the biggest part in the world, that's going to be around for the rest of time. And I think that in itself is a really remarkable thing.
So your acting, is it based on performance experience, or you also had like university training along with this?
Yes, I went to a university in London called Central St Martin's, which is part of the University of the Arts London, and my degree was called Performance Design and Practice. So it wasn't a sort of theatre conservatoire acting degree, but what it was for me, which was absolutely perfect, was that it not only allowed me to act and to learn and train in that, but it also, because it was performance, but it was also, practicing performance, but it was also designing it. So I got to make my own short films, be in them, but also be able to do theatre as well, and live art and different types of artwork that involve around performance. So it was very broad, and that allowed me to explore a lot, which I've always been very curious, and I want to be able to do a lot. So for me, it was perfect to be able to explore performance in that way, not just sort of learning Shakespeare or something like that.
But this wasn't your first big production. I understand you had a small part in Downton Abbey itself.
I did. I was featured in Downton Abbey, so I didn't have any lines in Downton Abbey, but I don't know if you've seen it, but in the film they make a film is a film is being made at Downton Abbey, and I'm one of the cast members of that film. But it's a silent film, so I'm very featured like throughout the film, like in this film that they're making and around Downton Abbey and things, and in the background and talking to other actors, but I don't have any sort of big speaking lines like in this film. But it was a wonderful experience, even so.
Wow. So you made a jump from a silent role in Downtown Abbey to a speaking role in the book club. That is a really big leap.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I have done a lot of short films, but yes, it is from not speaking to then. But you have to start somewhere. At some point, you have to talk in a film. So I was lucky that it was this one.
Yeah. Well, who knows what the future holds. Tell us some of the short films you make. What kind of types of short films what kind of genres are these short films?
It's varied actually. I've done sort of lighter ones, more comedic ones. I think interestingly, mostly they tend to be slightly darker. Like one of the short films that I made, I directed myself, but I was also in, which was my most successful one. I did well on the festival circuit. That was I wouldn't quite say it was a horror, but it's sort of a drama horror vibe, quite sort of noir, and that was sort of about a young woman who was going insane, and it's all shot in one room, and she's just by herself, and it's sort of this, yeah, this depiction of this woman's mind and how it's sort of slowly unraveling. And yeah, so it's just interesting because it's not, I think that this is partially what I was saying earlier, you know, allows being an actor, it allows you to be things that you're not. And, you know, in my normal life, I'm, you know, I wear a lot of colorful clothes. I'm a very happy, light, upbeat person. And so being able to maybe it's a catharsis to explore those characters on screen. There's something about that, you know, I am drawn to. Whatever that says about me, I don't know.
Well, what it sounds like to me is that you seek challenging roles that are not like you yourself.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Which I would hope for. That's what I think I'm hoping for in the future. Obviously, this role I've just done in book club is more like me, you know, given the fact that how it came about. And I'm hoping, you know, down the line I'll be able to explore things that very much aren't me and be able to go there. And obviously, the more you do, the more you learn, and the better you get. So that's what I would like.
I know it's still early in your career. Do you have sort of like a wish list of people that you would love to work with already?
I think maybe not a wish list, but there are certain actors that whenever I do watch them, I just, you know, I love them. I would say people like Joaquin Phoenix, I think is absolutely exceptional. I think acting, my favorite kind of actors are the ones that you never catch acting, that you watch them and whatever they're in and you just totally believe that they're that person. There isn't sort of an ounce of, oh, I caught that person acting. You know, Andrew Scott, I fell in love with him watching Sherlock, where he played Moriarty. And then he's a great example of being able to be incredibly full of depth and very sensitive, but also being able to be very comedic at the same time. And I think that's a really impressive thing to be able to do. And then I also, you know, I absolutely love, I love Tom Cruise. I love Tom Cruise films. He's one of those actors, I think probably for most people, that he's sort of one of the last few true movie stars. And I will watch anything that he's in. I love Mission Impossible. I think if I ever got the chance to be in a Mission Impossible film, my life would be made. So
it not only sounds like you admire those actors, it sounds like you want to follow their same paths, you know, to play very unique characters out of your zone.
yeah, absolutely. I think so. To really bring them to life. You know, I always, you know, he's retired now, but Daniel Day-Lewis is another one who I have always loved. But on a lighter perspective, I'm also a huge fan of Sandra Bullock. I could watch her all day, and Diane Keaton. You know, obviously I just work with her, but if I hadn't, it's that kind of, you know, to bring humor to roles and be very funny, but also have that sort of deep emotional connection that just makes you watch them and just fall in love with them.
Most excellent, especially the fact that you did meet Diane Keaton. That will keep you going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's up next with you? Are you going back to doing some short films, or are you auditioning?
Yes, I'm always I'm auditioning. Yes, so hopefully something will come of that. There have been a few that have been very close and not quite there. So hopefully the right thing will come along soon. I'm in LA at the moment, and I've got some meetings this week. And I'm also writing my first feature film, which obviously writing is a long process, but when it comes to it, I'm planning to direct it as well. So that's sort of keeping me occupied, as well as shorts. You know, I think that shorts come and go. Obviously, they're short. You know, there are some that I've written that I haven't made yet, so maybe I'll work towards making one of those, or act in things that come up that I find interesting. You know, I always want to be busy, so I always am busy. Yeah.
Well, actors life, they always try to keep busy one way or another. But Grace, hey,
Yeah.
congratulations for book club, the next chapter. I guess since you're in
Thank
Los
you.
Angeles, you might as well sneak into one of those LA theaters and watch fans watch your film. So that would be pretty exciting.
Yeah, that would. I definitely will as well when I go back to London. It will be interesting seeing how it's received there too. It's very
Most
exciting.
Most excellent. Well, hey, thank you for this conversation. We got to know you a whole lot better, and we'll keep tabs on your career, and hopefully we get to do this again.
Yes, thank you so much for talking with me. It was lovely to meet you.
Well, enjoy Los Angeles. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.